Hi, this is Joe from Vanta. In today's digital world, compliance regulations are changing constantly, and earning customer trust has never mattered more. Vanta helps companies get compliant fast and stay secure with the most advanced AI, automation, and continuous monitoring out there. So whether you're a startup going for your first SOC 2 or ISO 27001, or a growing enterprise managing vendor risk, Vanta makes it quick, easy, and scalable. And I'm not just saying that because I work here. Get started at Vanta.com.
Who drives the world forward? The one with the answers or the one asking the right questions? At Aramco, we start every day by asking how. How can innovation help deliver reliable energy to the world? How can technology help develop new materials to reshape cities? How can collaboration help us overcome the biggest challenges? To get to the answer, we first need to ask the right question. Search Aramco powered by how. Aramco is an energy and chemicals company with oil and gas production as its primary business.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Kilowatt, a podcast about electric vehicles, renewable energy, autonomous driving, and much, much more. My name is Bodie, and I am your host. And on today's episode, we are going to cover the news. But before we do that, I want to thank Thomas and Tommaso for sending me a link to the New York Times article that I was talking about last week. I wasn't able to see the actual New York Times article, so I used a Clean Technicar article instead as the source because I don't have a New York Times subscription. Apparently, if you have a New York Times subscription, you can send somebody the article and they can read it. So Thomas and Tommaso sent that to me. It was very helpful. And honestly, I have to say, the Clean Technicar article did a really good job of incorporating it wasn't an article, it was an opinion piece, but they did a really good job of bringing in the important parts of that opinion piece. So I don't have anything really meaningful to add or retract based on what I read in the New York Times piece. I just want to say it was a really good article. The Clean Technica did a great job as well. Other than I didn't love their headline, but other than that, I think they did a good job. Here are some other key points that I don't think that I mentioned in last week's episode is that experts think it's going to take a decade or more before autonomous vehicles get traction. And even then, after a decade, we're still going to have people driving around in vehicles. It's not going to be just autonomous vehicles all the way. We need more regulations, not necessarily to fight autonomous vehicles, which some governmental entities are out there doing, but we need regulations to plan for an autonomous vehicle future. And I touched on that just a little bit in my rant. And then one of the things that the Clean Technica article mentioned that I didn't mention was that autonomous vehicles will likely pull riders away from trains and buses, which, are obviously more efficient because you are transporting much more people, and they're also very safe methods of transportation. So that is a downside of autonomous vehicles, is them pulling riders away from trains and buses. But I'm sure we'll still have trains and buses in the future. I'm sure they'll look very different from what they look like now. If you could take an autonomous vehicle to work and it takes 15 minutes versus taking a bus to work and it takes 45 minutes and the prices are pretty close to the same, you're obviously going to opt for the 15-minute method. So, anyway, that is an update on that. So Tommaso and Thomas, thank you both very much for sharing that article with me. It was super helpful. All right, let's get to our EV news. First up, Rivian's Autonomy Day will be on December 11th, and as I'm recording this, that is tomorrow. We'll make sure to talk about that on Friday's episode. Let's see. Waymo's expanding service to St. Louis, St. Louis, Pittsburgh, Baltimore and Philadelphia. And I don't know if you noticed, but all those places have the potential for snow. So that's good. Waymo also has plans in the future, nothing that's immediate, but in the future, they have plans to expand to San Diego, Tampa, Orlando, Miami, Minneapolis, New Orleans, Dallas, San Antonio, and Houston. All right. And that brings us to our final EV story, which is all about Scout Motors. Nearly 80% of the reservations for the Scout Traveler, which is the SUV, and the Scout Terra, which is the pickup truck, are for the EREV versions of that vehicle, the extended range electric vehicle, which those versions have a gas generator, and the gas generator charges the battery of the vehicle. It doesn't actually, send any power to the wheels. All it's doing is charging the battery of the vehicle. The pure EV version is expected to have around 350 miles of range, where the EREV version is expected to have around 500 miles of range, but with a much smaller battery. Much of that range comes from the gas generator. I think that EREVs are very interesting, and I do think there's a place for an EREV in the transition from gas-powered to electric vehicles. I'm curious as to how much more the EREV is going to cost. In most cases, a 350-mile battery is going to get you about where you need to be, right? 350 miles isn't really 350 miles, as we're aware. It depends on if you're driving on the freeway versus driving in town on surface streets. But there's a real likelihood that people will fork out the extra money for the 500-mile version of this truck, the EREV, for the SUV and the pickup truck, and then find that 90% of what they use their vehicle for is covered on the battery side, and they don't have to run the gas generator. Now, there is a caveat to that people who actually use their trucks for work, or, for people who are going to plan on taking their vehicle out into, to do off-roading, they may benefit more than the folks who don't. But most people who buy a truck, and I would include myself in this, I want to buy a truck, never take it off-road. If I bought a truck, I would never take it off-road. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, as people own these vehicles for, 2 and 3 years, how often they have to use that gas generator. Again, I would say the percentage that they're going to use it is higher if you're doing something like going off road, or you are like if you work a trade, you're an electrician, or you do drywall or whatever, and you're traveling, a decent distance every day from job to job. But for most normal people, I would be really surprised if they hit, or I should say, I would be surprised if the gas generator ever kicks on for them. I bet you it's very, very rare. In terms of EREVs, though, other companies are working on or considering EREVs. The Jeep is working on a Wagoneer EREV. Of course, we've got the Ram 1500 EREV, which I just think it's called the Rev. BMW is working on an EREV system for the X5, or based on the X5 and X7. It probably won't be called X5 or X7. And then Hyundai Santa Fe is looking on an EREV version of that as well. And then in terms, back to Scout, they are expected to start production of their vehicles in 2027. I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens with this company. I think they're going to be successful. And if they're wildly successful, I wouldn't be surprised if we see other automakers like Ford and GM. And obviously Scout is part of VW Group. So we might see this moving into other VW Group companies as well. Companies like Rivian, Lucid, and Tesla, though, I don't think they're going to be interested in trying this kind of thing out, but I could definitely see where legacy automakers would be interested in that.
Who drives the world forward? The one with the answers or the one asking the right questions? At Aramco, we start every day by asking how. How can innovation help deliver reliable energy to the world? How can technology help develop new materials to reshape cities? How can collaboration help us overcome the biggest challenges? To get to the answer, we first need to ask the right question. Search Aramco powered by how. Aramco is an energy and chemicals company with oil and gas production as its primary business.
This holiday season, Instacart is bringing magic to the people who make it magic for others. Get delivery and deals on everything you need this season. Whether it's a last-minute holiday decor emergency, coverage for the holiday party, or just avoiding going out in the cold, Instacart is here. Plus, November 24th to December 23rd is Deal Month, with savings from your favorite retailers and deals on grocery, electronics, beauty, toys, and more. Download the Instacart app to get a little magic delivered today.
It's third down.
Did you see the game last night? Of course you did, because you used Instacart to do your grocery restock. Plus, you got snacks for the game, all without missing a single play. And that's on multitasking. So we're not saying that Instacart is a hack for game day, but it might be the ultimate play this football season. Enjoy $0 delivery fees on your first 3 orders. Service fees apply. For 3 orders in 14 days. Excludes restaurants. Instacart. We're here.
Hi, this is Joe from Vanta. In today's digital world, compliance regulations are changing constantly, and earning customer trust has never mattered more. Vanta helps companies get compliant fast and stay secure with the most advanced AI, automation, and continuous monitoring out there. So whether you're a startup going for your first SOC 2 or ISO 27001, or a growing enterprise managing vendor risk, Vanta makes it quick, easy, and scalable. And I'm not just saying that because I work here. Get started at Vanta.com.
All right, that is our EV news for today. I do want to say, and I don't mention this very often, is we do have different ways to support the show. Obviously, you can listen just on the regular feed and get ads, or for as little as $1, you can support the show on Patreon or Supercast, and you get a no ad experience. So I try to keep the, for people who want to support the show, I try to keep it very affordable, and you can't get much more affordable than $1. Of course, if you want to give a little bit more, you can, but all I ask for is $1. Just head on over to supportkilowatt.com, and there's links on there to support on Patreon or to support on Supercast. All right, let's go ahead and jump into our Tesla news now. Tesla has built its 4 millionth EV at Giga Shanghai, which is awesome. That is quite the accomplishment, especially when you look back at the history of Giga Shanghai, right? It took them about 10 months to break ground and completely build the factory, right? That's impressive in itself. And then they started building the Model 3s in the factory in 2019, just 6 years ago, and we are currently sitting at 4 million vehicles. And like 2 years ago, we were at 2 million vehicles. So obviously, Giga Shanghai is cranking those vehicles out. Elon has said that Tesla will remove the safety passenger from their Austin, Texas Robotaxis in about 3 weeks. I don't really have anything to say on this one way or the other than when I read this news, I did set my phone reminder for 3 weeks to check in on this. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to set another reminder for 5 weeks just in case and see where we're at. And we'll see if those safety monitors are removed. If, for people who aren't aware, the safety monitors aren't in the driver's seat. They're actually in the passenger seat in Austin, Texas. And in San Francisco, they are in the driver's seat. So there is a little bit of a difference depending on where Tesla is operating. This next one, I'm sure many of you have already heard, but Elon has said you can go eyes off the road when using full self-driving in certain situations. A few journalists have tested this out, and it doesn't really matter what they've reported back on this. I'm going to be honest, I don't really care whether it works or doesn't work. Tesla is taking no legal responsibility when it comes to them doing this. So just because Elon says you can go eyes off and use your phone does not mean you are absolving yourself of any sort of legal responsibility. Anything that happens when FSD is engaged, you are responsible for. So if you're on your phone or if you're doing something else and you kill someone, you're responsible. Now, I'm sure the family of the person that you killed or injured will go after, Tesla and Elon, right, and for a civil suit. But in terms of who's going to jail if that happens, or who's going to be who's going to pay the punishment, it's the person driving the vehicle, not the company that said you can do it. So, and in reality, there's a high likelihood that you're going to be found guilty because the phone is going to tell on you, and Tesla's car is going to tell on you that you were doing this. In order for this to really work the way that it's supposed to, is Tesla needs proper level 3 approvals from the states that they're working on, or that the level 3 service is working in. And even with level 3, if the car runs up against something that it can't handle, you need to be ready to take over the vehicle. I genuinely hope that this does not, I hope that nobody gets hurt because of this, for obvious reasons. But yeah, it's a little upsetting. I have seen so many kids that have been hit by cars, and I'm not even saying that the fault was with the driver. I'm not saying that the driver was on their phone or not paying attention. Kids dart out from in between cars in neighborhoods all the time. There's a variety of different reasons why somebody might get hit, not even just kids. But when that happens and the person driving was in full self-driving and they weren't paying attention, even if it was the person who darted out in between the cars, we won't use a kid for this example, but even if it was the person who wasn't paying attention, didn't use a crosswalk, and walked out into the road and got hit, the heat's going to be on whoever's driving, not the person who was jaywalking. So, yeah. Also, that's not like I've seen a lot of car versus pedestrians. They're not fun calls to go on. So if you get a hankering to try this out, just don't. Eventually Tesla will have the proper approvals to do this. Like right now in the US, there's certain places in California that operate, I think it's Mercedes, and I think BMW does it too, but Mercedes for sure. Certain places in California that can operate in level 3 autonomy mode, and certain places in Nevada, but there's a whole slew of restrictions that, these conditions need to be met before level 3 can be activated. So just because you have full self-driving does not mean you have level 3, or does not absolve you of any sort of liability. I feel like I said that multiple times, but it gets me. It gets me. All right. Next up, let's get to a more cheery subject. Tesla has a holiday update that's coming out. The holiday update, I just got it in my car today. I downloaded it and I have not had a chance to use it. But, Tesla's holiday updates are typically fun. And I'm just now realizing I probably should have put the you can use your phone eyes off, or you can drive eyes off with the FSD. I should have put that after this one. The flow of the show, it's hard to get into a happy mood. I should have gone at the end and ended on that note. Anyway, so the holiday updates are typically big updates. There's some fun stuff in there. There's some quality of life stuff. There's some meaningful upgrades. Let's go ahead and dig into what's in the newest update. First, Grok in navigation. Again, I downloaded this, have not had a chance to use it, but Grok can now add, edit, and reorder multiple navigation stops in one command. So it could be one navigation stop. You can say, take me to the Dunkin' Donuts. That could be one navigation stop. But you can say, I need to go to the Dunkin' Donuts. I need to hit Safeway, and I need to go to the Home Depot. Map this out for me, and it will do that. There is a caveat to that, though. You have to have the in-car personality set to assistant. If it's set to any of the other personalities that Grok has, it won't work. And it's also limited to AMD-powered vehicles in the US and Canada. So if you have an older Tesla, this feature is not going to work. We have some navigation upgrades as well. You can reorganize your favorites. You can reorganize and customize your favorites. So it's not just, what Tesla gives you. You can organize it in a way that makes sense to you. With home and work, you can now just drop a pin, but you don't have to be in the location. Prior to this, you had to be in the location before you could drop your pin. Suggested destinations now appear when you're parked based on your habits. So if you have a tendency to hit Dunkin' Donuts and Safeway, it knows in our previous example that you're probably going to want to go to Home Depot too, so it can make that suggestion. Intelligent HOV routing automatically uses the carpool lane when allowed. Let's see here. In terms of supercharger sitemaps, certain supercharger sitemaps now have 3D sitemaps showing the stall layout and the live occupancy. That's super cool. You will still likely need an AMD only vehicle. So if you have an older Tesla, it's probably not going to work, but that's to be determined. Charging improvements. You can set charge limits for each location. So if you're going to, let's say California, if you're going from Southern California to Northern California, and at this location, you're going to want to charge to 80%. At the next location, you're going to want to charge to 100%. And then at the final location, you're pretty close and you only want to charge to 50%. It will remember your preferred limit at that supercharger location. So as you go back, it will, to those locations to charge, it will set that charge limit for you automatically. Now you got to be careful, obviously, because if you are leaving San Francisco back to LA and you hit your first mark and you want that to be at 100% and the car is going to only charge it at 50, this is a pretty easy thing to solve. You just bump it back up to 100%. But yeah, I think this is very convenient. You can now turn on the wireless charging pads for your phone, or you can turn those on or off, which I'm not sure why you'd want to turn them off, maybe to save a little electricity, but it can't be that much. Let's see. There's a new dashcam viewer. Dashcam clips will now show your speed, whether you're in reverse or drive or park, I guess, your steering angle. It'll give information on the accelerator and brake inputs. It will show whether or not full self-driving was active. So, this is pretty cool. No more guessing on what happened in those viral videos where everybody's trying to unravel the mystery. It'll just be there for us to see. So I think that's really cool. There's also a phone left behind alert. So if you happen to leave your phone in the car and you get out, the car will chime. I want to try this and see what that actually sounds like. But if you close the car with the phone in the car, it should chime. This is only vehicles that are 2024 or after of the Model 3 and the Model Y. 2021 Model S or X, after 2021, and any Cybertruck will do this. So I guess I can't try this because mine, I don't know if mine's considered a 2023 or 2024. I'll have to look. I'm going to guess it's 2023. Spotify enhancements. You can now add songs directly to your queue and scroll giant playlists without paging. If you're a Spotify fan, that's probably a big deal. Some more fun stuff is that there's you could use the in-car camera as a photo booth. Santa mode has a refresh with snows and trees and festive visualizations. New light show, Jingle Rush. And it will play longer shows and color effects. Let's see, you can do custom wraps, license plates, and your car customization, which, doesn't change the color of your car, only how it's represented on the screen. There's a new game, ISS docking station, rainbow rave lighting with ambient lights to music. I'm going to guess that's for those newer cars that actually have the interior lighting. I don't have that in my car. There's a Tron-like cycle lock sound. So when you lock the car, it sounds like a Tron cycle. And then this last one I left in here because I think is the coolest one is if you have a pet and you leave the pet in the car, if you have an iOS device, dog mode will show the live activity and it will send photos and cabin temperature updates to your lock screen. So, Tesla, Apple has the, what's that bar across the top called? Oh man, I am blanking. Activity bar? I don't know. The activity bar across the top, it'll show that. And then when you're in locked mode and a new picture comes up, you'll be able to see it on that new picture on your locked mode. So I think that's a pretty cool feature. So yeah, that is all of the news for today. On tomorrow we'll hear from Rivian and their Autonomy Day. We'll have that episode on Friday. So I want to thank everybody for joining me. If you want to email me, it's Bodie, BODIE at 918digital.com. You can also find me on X at 918digital. But if you really want to follow me, you can follow me on LinkedIn because while I'm not active at any of those places except for my email, I'm more active on LinkedIn. Just search for Bodie Grimm, BODIE GRIMM. All right, everybody. I hope you are having a great week, and I will talk to you on Friday. Okay, so I just thought that I was pulling my car into the garage because I was letting Sierra and Brad, if you don't know who they are, my oldest daughter and her boyfriend, I was letting them charge in the garage while they were here. So I pulled my car back in and the update happened. So I just kind of wanted to walk through some of the things here. First, when you're sitting in the car and you see navigate, just underneath navigate is your suggestions for a place to go. So for instance, the first place that it suggests for me to go is Elements Compounding Pharmacy, which I used to get my cat's medication from there, but she's passed away probably 6 months ago. So not a place that I go on a regular basis at the moment. Under navigate, it does have a symbol for home and a symbol for work. That's just right there. And this is before you put it in reverse or drive or anything. This is just in park, just sitting here. The next thing that I can go to is Marcos de Niza High School, a place that I've been to maybe 3 times in the entire my entire life. So nothing there. And then Chandler Public Library, which is a place that I go to often, especially with my kids and stuff, but not exactly a regular place for me to go. But that maybe it needs some time to update and kind of get used to my driving now that we're in this position here. Let's see what else. Under charging, it has the I'm guessing this would be where I don't see what's new under charging. Oh, you have low power mode. Maybe that was new before. Oh, this is the charging pads. So under charging, you can turn off the charging pad so you don't need to charge your vehicle, or if you don't want to charge your phone that way, which is, I guess that's okay. Next up, we have, let's see, what else do we have in here? Under navigation, it says use HOV lanes. That's new. So you can choose yes or auto. That's what's new in there. So going to dash cam next. The dash cam shows, up at the top, it shows the date. It shows the speed. It shows where I'm at, the location. So it's got a little picture and it says Tempe, which is where I live. You can pull up a grid if you want, front view, side view, all that stuff. But the biggest thing is the speed. It's all in one. So I am parked. I am going 0 miles an hour. It shows how my wheel is turned, and my wheel is turned to the right a little bit. So I'll turn it back to center. I am not wearing my seatbelt at the moment. It shows that. And what else does it show here? I can't really tell that last icon, but yeah, that's neat. Under Grok, I have to share my precise location. So we'll share that. It's under assistant mode.
I can't share your precise location for privacy reasons. What else can I help with?
Oh, I'm sharing my precise location with you.
Got it. But I can't access or share precise GPS coordinates. What do you need help with?
Okay. Can you take me to Elements Massage?
No Elements Massage nearby in Tempe. Got an address or city for it?
No. How about Safeway?
Safeway in Tempe is 0.7 miles away and open till 10. Which one? Or want me to navigate?
Okay. So that's that information. And if you are listening to this, I'm cutting out the address to the Safeway just because it's right next to my house. And I don't want to give that information away. Yeah, so that was the Grok, and that seemed to work okay. And then under arcade, you have the SpaceX docking for the International Space Station. It looks pretty cool. Hit begin here and see what happens. Lots of spacey things. Oh, I guess you control it with, I don't know what you control it with. You just control it on the screen, touch on the screen. That's interesting. Not really working. Okay, so the controls, unless you have a controller, the controls are all on the screen. So that's not, that's fine. Whatever. I probably will never play that game again. So yeah, that's all the updates, just in case you were curious. All right, everybody. I will talk to you soon.
Who drives the world forward? The one with the answers or the one asking the right questions? At Aramco, we start every day by asking how. How can innovation help deliver reliable energy to the world? How can technology help develop new materials to reshape cities? How can collaboration help us overcome the biggest challenges? To get to the answer, we first need to ask the right question. Search Aramco powered by how. Aramco is an energy and chemicals company with oil and gas production as its primary business.
Hi, this is Joe from Vanta. In today's digital world, compliance regulations are changing constantly, and earning customer trust has never mattered more. Vanta helps companies get compliant fast and stay secure with the most advanced AI, automation, and continuous monitoring out there. So whether you're a startup going for your first SOC 2 or ISO 27001, or a growing enterprise managing vendor risk, Vanta makes it quick, easy, and scalable. And I'm not just saying that because I work here. Get started at Vanta.com.
For 25 years, Brightview Senior Living Associates have been committed to creating a vibrant culture and delivering exceptional services, making Brightview a great place to work and live. If you're looking for a rewarding opportunity to serve your local community and grow, we want you to join our team. Brightview Senior Living is growing and actively seeking vibrant associates to join our community teams, including directors, healthcare, activities, hospitality, and dining. Apply today at careers.brightviewseniorliving.com. Equal employment opportunities. Text BV Jobs to 97211 to apply.